Oh, okay. Welcome to the Cracktown Comedy Club.
Oh man, what a guest!
Ian
Where?
Coppinger.
And I was thinking probably the closest act to where I live, I think. Especially one of your caliber that's traveled the world and gigged everywhere.
Yeah, we are neighbours.
Like 400 metres, maybe 500 metres?
I've never been to your place, so I don't know exactly where you live.
Ah, it's a
but
kip.
There's a canal between us,
Yeah.
which
Oh.
today is frozen.
Is it?
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh,
Well,
that's
the
ducks.
top of it, I'm exaggerating.
Yeah.
But there's a
Did
little
you
bit of
see
ice
any?
on
Could
top.
just
Did you
skate
see
across.
little frozen ducks skimming away?
Like a duck take to ice.
That sounds
They
the
made their
new
way.
musical
Like
on
ice off a duck's back.
Yeah.
We start with duck puns. Yeah, get down to the crust, huh? But yeah, because usually you travel a lot, and Australia, like you beat me back to Perth where I grew up.
Yeah.
So I think you've been to Perth more in the last 10 years than me, definitely.
How many times have you been?
Once.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, and
I've been about 20 times.
Yeah.
In the
Like,
last
that's
10
great.
years.
Your frequent flyer miles must be.
No, they're shite.
Oh really?
No, companies don't do good frequent flyer miles. Like if you don't use them within 2 or 3 years, they're
Frequent
gone.
flyer miles are now a thing to be ashamed of, though. You know, that's like your carbon footprint.
What
Trying
is
to,
it?
you know,
Yeah.
trying to jazz up your carbon footprint, but really it should be like there should be a
Oh,
big
yeah,
black marker on it.
Didn't
Yeah.
fly to Australia.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, a cruise ship.
No, they're even worse.
Oh, they're worse. I paddled.
I hitched.
He sat in a jacuzzi on a cruise ship.
You just swam on a jacuzzi in a cruise ship. And then, so what are the summer, like, you've been to Azerbaijan as well? You've been there a couple of times?
I've been about 4 times to Azerbaijan.
Like, I don't know anyone who has been to Azerbaijan 4 times in the comedy scene. And what's it like there?
It's
like,
a
what
lovely
happens?
place. It's on the Black Sea coast. It's near Russia.
Is it a dictatorship, Azerbaijan?
No.
His eyes twitching.
All I'm doing is calling you out on things. It's terrible carbon footprint. You gig for dictators. Okay.
No, it's not a dictatorship. I actually don't know the system of government, but
Yeah.
former Soviet state, as far as I'm aware.
Cool.
And it's a
And not
beautiful place.
Good food. Has a burning mountain in that, doesn't it? Or something.
A what?
Has a burning mountain. I don't know. Apparently, it's got a mountain. I don't know
A,
if
a volcano.
it was either a volcano or
Burning
I've heard-
mountain. Have you travelled through time? What?
No, just something.
Fire. Hill.
I don't know much about Azerbaijan, but I know that apparently it's got some burning mountain. I don't know. If,
I haven't heard that.
I
I
don't
know
know
there's
if
a
it's actually
flame.
on
Like, there's
fire,
a
but-
peace flame that doesn't go out.
Oh, maybe
Apart
it's
from
not.
Maybe
that.
that's it.
But
probably.
it's a beautiful place. I'm in Baku. I've never been to the rest of it, but it's like really old streets and really old mosques and places like that, and then ultra modern city, and then they have a carpet museum in the shape of a carpet.
Nice.
Now, how can you argue? with
Like a
that?
rolled up carpet.
Yeah,
Or-
it's like this thing, a roll of carpet, and then a doorway, and you go in, and it's all carpet.
Did you go?
That's
No.
my, that's my mum's dream.
All right.
Say-
My mum loves carpets too. Mums love
Yeah,
carpets.
mums love carpets.
Yeah, it's kind
The
of a
history of
generational thing.
carpets.
Now it's all hardwood, and kids are gonna have no knees because they don't know where to crawl.
Yeah.
They'd
and
love
Yeah,
a
they'll just be
carpet
looking at a
museum.
screen anyway, though. They won't even want to crawl anywhere.
No, they can do it virtually.
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
carpet
Virtual
museum.
carpets.
Yeah,
Pretty cool, isn't it?
Mm.
they've loads of little like these sort of.
Pretty sure it's a
strange-
dictatorship. I'm 99% sure.
You
Azerbaijan's a
Let
dictatorship.
go of that.
You know, a friend of mine works in Azerbaijan for a summer doing some sporting events, and she just said it was really tough because it was a dictatorship. That was her main thing with it.
Was a while
There
ago.
was a lot of corruption, and she was trying to get things done because she was one of the event's organisers. And every time she went through to the fucking government council people, there's just nothing happened. And then she was like, "Why?" And then she figured out, "Oh, it's because it's a dictatorship."
Okay. Is this a comedy podcast?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, Eddie always steers it into.
Let's get serious.
Yeah. He loves.
What was the gig you
dictatorship
did in
communism.
Azerbaijan anyway?
I had to all hail the leaders, and it was just for expats. And the last time I was there, I did improv and stand up over the years. So the last time I was there was an improv show with Steve Frost and Andy Smart and Steve Steen, and they actually had a lot more Azeris, who are the local people, than they ordinarily would have had. So that made it a bit interesting because they didn't quite figure out what we were doing for the first 10 minutes. So it was a lot of blank stares for the first sort of 10, 15. Then they got into it slightly. Then the second half, they totally got into it, and it was fantastic.
And what kind of stuff would they be yelling at? Freedom. Or
Well,
no,
there was a couple of kids sitting in the front, which is a bit,
A kid.
yeah. So they just had mad ideas.
Right.
Meanwhile, sitting on a cloud. It was like, okay.
And like, all right, let's work with that.
Yeah.
And you find the suggestions across the board when you travel. Can you tell much about a place from the suggestions?
Well, sometimes you
Or a
get
lot of them
things
same?
you've never heard of before. So we sometimes have. We were in Singapore at one stage, and there's a game that we play where somebody has to leave the room and get a very convoluted job, and then they come back. And like Steve Frost, one of the suggestions within many suggestions was he was a durian hawker.
What's that?
Exactly. And we all stood there going, what on earth is a durian hawker? Now, a durian is a type of fruit from Southeast Asia that's very smelly.
Okay.
And a hawker is somebody who sells that. So he then had to tell us he was a durian hawker, but we had to convey that to him through clues. So he then had to guess that he was but he's never heard that phrase.
Okay. So improv is harder than it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it funny, because the audience, everybody there was either from Singapore or lived in Singapore, so they knew exactly
nice.
what they were dealing with. So the look on his face, because I think I said, "Oh, you work in that Irish hotel chain," and he went, "Juries." And I went, "Yeah, the smaller one." He went, "Juries in," and I said, "Yeah, and every day you bring them out on a historical walk, so you're the jury in walker." So then he starts going, "Okay, that makes no sense," but eventually he then just realised it was jurian.
Yeah.
And then hawker.
But did he actually know what durian was?
No.
No.
But we, through these clues, you kind of give them to him.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah. We
It's
did
great that the audience are like, whoa. You know, you can tell from the audience if they're close or not.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Have you ever done improv demo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wasn't very good at it.
Okay.
Like, my tangents were good. It was just really hard for the other acts because, you know, you have to keep, it's yes and, you know, like if someone has an idea, it doesn't matter how bonkers it is. You sort of go along with it, and then that will if all the yeses will create an amazing scene. But if if you go off too nuts, then they're saying yes. They're like, this is not where it should have gone.
Yeah,
Right.
and your natural inclination is to say no, because that gets a laugh. But then it kills
killed.
everything. The scene is dead. So
yeah.
you've got to, and then once you know what you're doing, then you can start breaking the rules.
Yeah.
So I always compare it to football, because you don't know when the ball is going to come to you, you don't know who you're going to pass it to, and all you got to do is score a goal.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter who scores it, to the back of the net, and that's it.
So you can't really overthink it or prepare it. You have to be in the
No.
moment the whole time.
You have to
all
go
the
clear
time.
your head completely. If you go up with a thought, it's gone.
Because we were talking off air that like people yell out because people always yell out porn, and you said like dildo. Is it dildo now? And Donald Trump, is that what like?
Yeah, they're probably the most popular. If you ask for an object, it will be dildo.
Across the
And
world.
usually a bloke.
Across the
So
Dildo.
yeah,
It's a British accent.
that's what it's been replaced by.
Yeah.
And then Donald Trump, Kim Kardashian
Oh, you
were the most famous people for quite a while.
Yeah.
And it used to be Napoleon. He used to be the most famous person in the world.
When you started doing it, what? In
I'm
the
that old.
1800. Yeah. I was in Belgium. It was a
I
terrible
was
time.
Azerbaijan in 1812.
It was a dictatorship then, Eddie.
trailing the French army.
Yeah.
Do you? Is that, out of curiosity, then, because you're trying to improv, and then you've done this. You've gotten these suggestions so many times. Dildos, Donald Trump. So you've done scenes that work, that got big laughs because you got those suggestions. So you have an option now. You're on stage. Well, we could just kind of do the scene that absolutely killed it last night, or we try something completely new again. But are we running out of new things on dildos and Donald Trump?
Well, we turn down those suggestions now. We say we always get what we do is say a very famous person, such as Donald Trump, Kim Kardashian, but not them. I've just said them.
Okay,
So,
okay.
and if someone like
Very
sometimes
good.
they will say Michael T.
good.
Higgins, and we'll go half the room is not from Ireland. So we'll say use your imagination. It could be anyone in history, and then like people start thinking that it could be fictitious.
See, I'd be
So they
lazy
start
about
going
it.
Fagin from Oliver, and you go now you're thinking.
I'd be like the most famous president
With
you know,
tiny
they
hands,
a
orange face, wispy hair.
Donald Trump. Well, I got a great scene. I got a
I've
great scene
seen-
for you.
I've seen
Wait
improv.
till I improvise this. Any other a sex toy, maybe a dildo. Oh, I've got a scene for you. All right.
Yeah.
No, I've seen improv troops doing that.
And they're clearly just
Kinda
doing a sketch.
Yeah, directing them in a way. Can we get an action film starring Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
And
Okay, you're
oh,
really
come
narrowing
on.
it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I've seen that, and yeah,
And the time
doesn't
No,
work.
no,
For me, it doesn't work.
No,
anyway.
but it's never gonna be the same electricity as
yeah.
it's
And I
always gonna-
improvise with people with very bad memories. So even if it does come up or has come up before, chances are
Is that a more recent thing, or is that always been a bad memory?
I can't remember. It just you can't recreate it. Don't try to, because it's going to end up shite. And invariably, the other person is not going to remember the scene exactly as you remember it. So there's no point in doing it. There's no challenge in it.
It's the same thing with MCing or hosting a stand-up comedy show. If you start doing this fucking trying to orchestrate things that worked in the past, it's not the same vibe. You feel like a whore, you know?
Yes.
You feel like a filthy.
Yes, you do.
I mean,
Yes, you do personally, Eddie. No.
You can't stop your
you
brain
do.
working in a certain way. So there are times when you will say the same thing back
Yeah.
to a completely different person because they've given you the same response, and your brain just has one train of thought.
Yeah.
ultimately.
And you're
So
everything's
you're
moving
going so
fast.
quickly, yeah.
But you're not, as long as you're not deliberately doing that. And I've seen MCs who do the same little tricks.
yeah.
They repeat them. I'm like, God.
Well, I saw a stand-up once, and he obviously had done this bit of material quite a lot, and it always got a ooh, and he had worked in, oh no, don't boo that. And then when I saw him doing it, and it didn't get a ooh, and he just stopped. And went, no, don't boo that. And he they didn't.
They were like, we didn't boo it.
Yeah, and there was this
didn't boo.
moment of, what's he talking about? We agree with you.
This guy's losing his mind.
So you got to be very careful. You've always got to listen and stand up, improv, whatever.
Yeah.
If you're not listening to the audience, there's no point in doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unless you're an actor, then you don't need to listen because you just do the
Yeah.
scene.
Well, I've done acting as well.
Like
so
a conversation.
No, you have
Yeah,
to
you
listen.
did
have
big.
to
Really
listen.
have to
You
listen.
really have to listen. So
You've
It's-
done some big shows acting though. like
years
talking
ago,
about.
yeah, I did a couple of bits and bobs.
You were 12 Angry Men? Were you in that?
I was one of them.
You were one of the 12
I
Angry
was
Men?
I was number 2.
Oh, right.
They've
That
no
must have been-
names in the play
All right.
or in the film actually. They just have.
where were you? Where did you act in that?
We did that at the Edinburgh Festival. It's 20 years ago now, but
All-star cast.
a young man called Bill Bailey was in it. Just as
Was it a
Bill was on
comedy?
us-
For,
we played it completely straight, and then we toured Australia and New Zealand with it. It was the first time I was
Right.
ever in Perth actually.
Cool.
Yeah,
What year was that?
that was 2003.
Wow.
Yeah, this coming summer. So
Yeah,
we did
you've
that
calmed
in-
down. You're not so angry anymore, so you don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Owen O'Neill it was his idea to do it.
Yeah.
So Owen O'Neill came up with the idea of doing it, and then there was like Steve Frost and Phil Nichol. Dave Johns is now an actual film star.
Man, that is a
Uh,
top cast.
Kevin Eldon did it with us in Australia.
Oh,
We had
yeah.
Steve First in that
Dave
role
Johnson. He's the
initially.
guy who was in.
Daniel Blake.
He's great.
So
Yeah.
there was Jeff Green.
So all
Yes.
stand-ups.
Yeah, we had a couple of people who weren't. So we had Russell Hunter who played the old man. There's Juror 9 as the old man. So we got a local Edinburgh legend, Russell Hunter, who died actually the following year while we were performing the play on stage in Australia.
Ah.
We came off to that news. And then there was a couple like Dave Calvido and Gavin Robertson were in it as well, and they weren't. I mean, Gavin creates his own work. It is comedic, but he's not a stand-up. And Calvido's very much just a straight actor, but very funny man.
Wow.
Then the following year we did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and that ended up in the West End. So yeah,
And
So
did you go on the West End with it?
yeah, I was in the West End for
Jeez, you've
about
been in some big productions.
7
Good, huh?
months or something.
Yeah.
A few months. And where were you staying when you were there in London? Were you
In
staying?
Johnny Candon's flat.
Just ruined the West End. Johnny
Yeah.
Camden.
Yeah, I'd walk off to a standing ovation. 1,500 people catch the bus to Stoke Newington. All right, Johnny, how are you doing?
Oh,
Yeah.
Johnny Cannon, just for people who don't know, look him up. Great comic, a lot of improv.
Yeah,
just
brilliant.
and I've never seen him without a pint of lager in his hand.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
it
even in his house.
yeah.
You go out in the morning, he's just still there. Huh? He completely saved me. I had nowhere to stay, and he said, "Why don't you just stay here?" But I was there for like 6 or 7 months or something.
Wow, man.
And then we did a second run a year or two later, again in the West End. And I was in Rod Gilbert's flat.
Oh, wicked.
So Rod was in Australia, so he said, "Oh, take me." I can't do the Welsh accent.
That's my. That
That goes
Ron
off every
Gilbert
time you
alarm.
hear Rod Gilbert.
Yeah, I've got a Ron Gilbert watch.
Welsh comic watch.
Wow. When did you start stand-up? What was your?
I had a very slow introduction to stand-up. I was in a double act first of all called Fat Man's Picnic Basket. And
That sounds like an indie band now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
great name.
yeah, so on the John Peel stage in Glastonbury. So we started very young. Did our first gig when we were 16.
Nice.
Who was
then-
your other half?
A guy called Paddy Hickey. You would not have known. He now lives in Canada, has done for many, many years. So, but we met when we were about 12 or 13, and he just made me laugh, and I made him laugh, and we had the exact same sense of humour, and then we just started writing shit. So everyone at that stage was in a U2 cover band in school. and we did the school show, and we did sketches.
Great. In between
Nice.
desire and desire.
Probably wasn't even out at that stage. I'm trying to. I would have been. Yeah, but with or without you.
Oh,
Because that was so easy on the bass. Do 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 do. So everyone had that. And now here's another U2 band with that other track from the Joshua Tree. The streets have no name. And
I find it funny if everyone's like, I want to be Bono. Oh, okay, I'll be Edge. I'll be Larry. You know,
Yeah.
I like it. I like how that U2 is. Oh, there would have been a time where like, well, I'm going to be Bono, guys, from now on. You know, Paul was like, I'm going to be Bono. And then the Edge is like, I'm going to be the Edge. And then he goes, what about you? What are you going to be, Adam? He's like, Adam's fine. Larry? Yeah, I'll stick with Larry. You know, they would have had a time where like, oh, maybe I could be something. They're like, nah, Larry's cool. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Well, it would if
that
they
funny?
had have all had nicknames, it would have been
Yeah, it didn't,
it
the other
would
ones
have been
didn't
like a
stick.
cartoon.
The other ones didn't stick. Yeah.
Titch and Mick. Bono,
Bono
Edge,
the Edge.
Titch and Mick. In between songs, they solve crimes. You know, it's just
Oh, I'd love it if
they all
it
live in a van.
Yeah.
Hey, Titch. Hello, Mick.
Where's Bono? I don't know. They're from Yorkshire for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why you suddenly become
Two
Northern
Fingers lads
English.
and two Yorkshire lads or whatever. Great.
So what year are we talking about here? You're
Oh, that's 86.
86. You're 16. You're doing sketches with your
16,
buddy,
87, maybe.
and then you
Then did nothing until around about 1989. Did one more gig. So for that whole decade, did 2 gigs.
you were doing comedy while I was swimming around in my dad's balls.
Let's move on.
And then at the time, is that like, were there any? Because the Comedy Cellar was that start at that point?
That just
Was that 88 or
no,
something?
88 or something. So I think we did a gig just before they started even.
Was it in there in the international?
No.
Was it-
This was in school. We actually did gigs in school. It literally was the headmaster coming out. And now next act, Fat Man's Picnic Basket.
Oh, great.
Kind of thing. And we went out and did these sketches. And then after that, yeah, we just wrote and wrote and wrote. And
You get
then
laughs?
It was all.
Did you get some laughs?
we did actually.
Nice.
I
It's
all
walked
about-
off stage going like to my mate, going, "That's what I'm doing for the rest of my life."
Great.
I was 16, squeaky little voice and a head full of hair
Yeah.
and dreams.
Let's do jokes about Napoleon.
I'm going to do that forever.
Yeah.
Hey. And then, yeah, we did one more gig supporting a band in some pub in town. I can't even remember the name of the pub. Then, this is how long ago it is. My mate wrote a letter to Dermot Carmody. You probably don't even remember Dermot.
I
Dermot was one of
don't,
the
I don't.
founding members of the Comedy Cellar. And Dermot wrote a letter back to him saying, come in some night. So we went along and he walked us in free. And we sat and watched Ardle, Barry, Kevin getting up and doing Mr. Trellis. Alex Lyons was on, Michelle Reed was on, and Dermot Carmody. And we were going, okay, everything we've written is complete shit in comparison to that. So we went home and rewrote. They said to us, you can't have an open spot next week, but the following week is free. Because I think at that stage there was one other open spot in Dublin. So we went along and we did our show. We came in the following week, and
How many people were in the audience?
it was full.
Well,
Well, I said
and it was a
full,
mix of
40 or
stand-up
50
and
people.
and sketch people.
It was a whole variety show. Barry would compare most weeks, so we'd get up and do a little bit of audience
Barry Murphy.
participation. Barry Murphy, sorry, yeah. And then he would bring on Mr. Trellis. So the 3 of them would do a sketch. Then he'd go, and now, ladies and gentlemen, Dermot Carmody. Dermot would go up and do a song and a little bit of stand-up, and then he'd go off. Barry'd come back on again. Alex Lyons. Alex would go on and do some stand-up. Then Mr. Trellis would go on, do a sketch, end of first half. Top of the second half, open spot. Then a batch of people would get up and do some improv. Then they'd have Michelle Reed on or somebody of that level. Then they would get Dermot to go up and do another song, and then finish with a sketch from the lads, or Dermot would finish with a song. So it was like there was stand-up, sketches, improv, and whatever the hell else, music,
Christ,
music,
great
comedy.
night.
Yeah,
For a couple of punts or something.
and everyone used to sit up the front. So at that table, so there was that table that all the comedians sat at. So it just meant that everybody was very original. So if you had an idea about, oh, we'll do something about buses, and then Barry does a routine about buses. So you didn't touch buses as a subject matter. So it meant there was great sort of inventiveness, and so you had to go with something new because everyone was sitting there looking at you going, oh, you're doing the same old, now we got new sketch, okay. And then you'd do it and you'd hear them laughing. And it was just really creative.
So all the acts were sitting up the front on the side. So you're watching it all. You're engaged in it all. You're thinking about the whole night as well as your bit.
Yeah, and you knew you were doing well when Kevin Giltee would laugh. When Kevin's mad laugh, you just go, we've hit the funny bone.
Great.
So it was just, it was brilliant and very, very cute. And then the likes of Dylan arrived in shortly after I started there. And then I missed his first ever gig. I was so annoyed because Eddie Izzard turned up that night as well. So Barry Murphy phoned me the following day. Where were you last night? I said, because I'd gone to every single Wednesday for about 2 years or a year and a half or something. And he said, you got to come and see this bloke. We're doing a gig in Whelan's this Friday. Yeah, come in and see. So I saw Dylan's second ever gig. And he was like the finished article.
Really?
Yeah. I was just looking at him. And I was a bit jealous, to be honest, because he was getting all the special attention. I'm going, well, I've been there for a year. And then turned up and just saw. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So just second gig, he was formed.
Yeah, he was there. He was already.
How does that even happen?
I don't know.
Amazing.
There's very few people who have that. There's no point in being jealous and no point in being angry. It's like watching Billy Connolly and go, how does he do that? There's no point in trying to figure that out. You're not going to be Da Vinci. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So you take the talent that you have and go forward with that. But yeah, to watch Dylan. And then a very strange one, years later, Barry Murphy again called me and he said, there's a fella supposed to be on next week. He has to be on this week, and I can't go in. Can you go in and see what he's like for me? Because I've heard he's going to be pretty good. And okay. So went in, watched this new act, and then Barry, I knew was next door. It was his wife's birthday, so I popped into the restaurant next door, and he said, how was he? And I said, I've just seen the future of Irish comedy.
Tommy Tiernan?
That was Tommy Tiernan. As far as I know, that was Tommy's first gig.
Holy
in
shit.
Dublin.
Great.
I think he had done some stuff. Baz had heard from him doing stuff down in Galway. But he got his first gig in the international. And they put him in that kind of cushy spot at the top of the second half.
Yeah.
Blew everyone away.
Amazing. Imagine Tommy opening the set.
Who is this bloke we've never heard of?
And I'm guessing as well, fully formed like that. In a way.
Yeah, he had these amazing routines about getting a bicycle for Christmas, and it was a rally shopper. And all that routine he used to do about going to Navan for the sneer. And all that, and I was like, no one had heard that kind of accent. Just fucking going out there and down, and I was like, what is this coming from? Never heard anything like that. So yeah, that was very original then, and then the likes of Mark Doherty, who's come and gone over the years. Like Mark would be one of my all-time favourites. And just seeing him, I saw him doing his first ever gig.
Nice. Is there anything of Mark online or bootlegs anywhere people can listen to?
There's a whole show. What's it called? Couched. It was a TV show that he did. Barry Murphy himself kind of wrote it, and I wrote some additional material. That's all online. It's bonkers.
Couched.
But Mark's stand-up was immaculate.
What happened? Why did he?
He just didn't want to do it anymore. I admired the fact there was a really shitty festival put together in Dublin once, and he was going to handed a beer crate as a stage, and it was free in a pub in Temple Bar, and he had to get up and just perform in front of drunk people, and he just walked off stage going, I'm not doing this again. And he was right. It's just the way comedians have been treated, still are in some cases treated.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, yeah, you go over there and do your thing. I said, no, it deserves more respect than that. And Mark was brilliant. So he just walked away and went, nah, I'm too good for this.
So, no, there'll be a stage next time and the microphone. Oh, he's gone.
No, come to the Craic Den. He should have been to the Craic Den. If only just one gig at the Craic Den, he'd be back.
Yeah. Ian's here. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's cool. Man, that's proper, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's the history of Irish comedy.
And when you're still on the international, is it still like the magic because you've been performing there for decades?
Yeah. Yeah, we've recently moved from the Mondays to the Sundays. We did the improv there, and it's 30 years going now at this stage.
Yeah, but also you kept it going during, you had like improv
we did it every
Zoom
week.
gigs every week.
We did a weekly Zoom show for the whole run.
It's cool because people could they type in their suggestions or yell out.
We had to reinvent some games. So yeah, we had them typing in stuff that we would only see as they hit enter. So they were in the little chat box. Yeah. So we'd be like looking at yourself on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
And we figured out different ways of doing Zoom. The first few shows were dreadful, and we had to reinvent it. So we invented some games that we could play, and literally what would come up in front of you, you had to either say or incorporate in some way. And yeah, it ended up being really good fun. And still, there was people in the improv who were late to the show. I don't know how.
From their couch.
Yeah, they'd be texting you going 10 minutes late. You go, but you're on the device that you're going to be used. It was hilarious. We used to just laugh.
You're
every Monday.
legally not allowed to leave your house
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what are you
yeah.
doing?
How could you be late for something that you're already there for?
Yeah, I'm at the bar.
We did a couple of Zoom gigs, the Craic Den, before Damo joined forces. And were you on that gig that we got hacked?
Oh yeah, it was.
You were on the gig that got hacked. Did you hear about the gig that got hacked?
We got hacked as
Oh, you
well.
got hacked
Go
as
on,
well?
yeah.
And what happened with your hack?
I tried to talk to them, but they wouldn't answer back, and we had to delete, and get them off.
Could you?
get them off.
Did they put up any images?
There
Or
was
you could just
some,
hear
yeah.
them?
I got a bit weird, and at one stage there was a kid just staring at me. I'm like, okay, just shut the whole thing down.
So they found the link. Did you put the link up on Facebook or something? Is it?
that was one of our early mistakes.
Yeah.
putting an open link up.
Open links. That's what we did for.
Yeah.
That was
Is
our
that
big
what
smack.
you did?
Yeah.
Well, there
What
you
happened
go.
to
You wanted people to. Well, we
That's
put it
not
up.
hack.
we
That's
put-
not getting hacked if it's just
That's just
open
people
for
coming
anyone
in.
to click in.
It's hacked. All right.
That's like doing comedy on the street. You're like, what's all of these strangers wandering over?
No, because we put it up as an event on Eventbrite and on Facebook, and then like you attend the event and then you get the link, but it was
Oh, yeah.
free. I'm not going to,
Yeah.
Anyway, so then so someone did that. Then they obviously got the link, shared it. There was it was how people were doing the Reddit Zoom bombing forum, and they would share links onto Reddit, and then everyone on this forum would go, "We're cool, we'll bomb this one now."
Yeah, I did.
Anyway, look, teenagers, but on ours they somehow grabbed the screen, which I don't know how they did that, but then they shared their image on the screen, and it was like really horrific pornography, followed by Nazi images. So it was like shock, and then we had like 60.
We got
people.
those as well. Probably the exact same people.
Yeah.
But that's just my usual search history anyway.
Yeah. Coppinger just hacked in again.
I just thought, oh, everyone's seeing my files.
He's using all the suggestions they got from the improv.
Yeah, no, it was a bit gross, all right. And then it was just like people just scrambling, switching everybody.
And all you could
off
hear,
and-
because we had no control, I had no control of the show. So all you could hear is Eddie in the background while some dude's coming in with a bone and is like, oh, sorry, this isn't me, this isn't
Yeah.
us, this is sorry.
And my girlfriend's parents were watching the show from Spain, and then they left the show after all the porn, and then there was a lot of people left. Basically, it was went from 60 to about 3 people left at the end, and then I had to call them up after and be like, apologize for the porn on the screen. That wasn't me. And then they said, oh, we thought that was one of your jokes. We thought that was your sense of humor. And I was like, a woman shitting on another woman's head. No, that was not a joke.
Did I
Is
remember?
that porn?
Oh, I don't know. It was
I don't know.
It was horrible images. But
Yeah,
those 3 people that stayed on, they joined every other gig. They were very disappointed that it was just talking.
They
Well,
come,
what
they
we
come
did
every
then-
night to the Craic, and they're
Every
still
night,
waiting for
they're
the
still
big
waiting for
reveal.
something.
Wiping
Yeah.
their heads.
And horror stories, of course, like the worst, because you've done so many gigs, are the ones that you stand out of like, oh, that shouldn't have been a gig.
Oh yeah, I mean, I prefer the funny incidences, like when I was doing a show in China, in Beijing, in a rickety old plywood stage, and I was doing a scene with Steve Frost, and Steve is 6'6", very well built man, and he just fell through the stage. It just collapsed under his feet.
Did he go down to your height?
Yeah, almost. it was hilarious because we were just standing there, and he just and he just stepped on the very weak part of it, and he just went down. And I got to say the line, "Don't worry, it's just a stage he's going through." And so that sort of shit happens, and you can't write that. And we then had to perform on what was a very small stage. We now had to perform on just half of it with 4 of us.
Yeah.
So that was just stuff like that.
Where
I
in
love.
China was
That's
that?
That was in Beijing.
Wow.
And then we did a gig in a place called Ningbo in China. Where
Is
the
that a
lady-
dictatorship? I just want to be clear.
No,
I know
it
he's
is
going to
not.
ask. He's going to ask.
So your carbon
communism.
footprint's getting bigger anyway. All right.
Yes.
Dictatorships and big long flights. That's good old Ian.
Yeah, that's is the gig, okay, don't worry about the money, but is it a dictatorship of any kind or some sort of communist party?
I don't
anyway?
own anything, so I have no carbon footprint in that respect.
Oh, that is good. And no,
Are you a
I've no-
minimalist?
I've no kids.
Okay.
I'm so minimalist, I didn't answer that question.
Okay.
yeah.
Uh,
So sorry, yeah, the other gig in China. Yeah.
We were in Ningbo in China, which was a mad gig to get to because there's a big sea bridge. I think it's about 12 or 13 miles long. Just a bridge that connects it goes over the sea, connects one peninsula with another or some fucking thing. So one landmass with another. And our driver was falling asleep.
Huh?
Yeah, this Chinese guy. So he was falling asleep at the wheel. And we were going, if we make any sudden noise, he's just going to go like this. So we were all just talking in the car as we're driving at about 100 kilometers an hour over this bridge going, right, what are we going to do? Because if we make any noise, he may crash. So we'd be touching. So we just had to go, hey! And then he'd sort of wake up a bit and go, hey! And then, but he couldn't speak English. So we had to phone his office and ask for somebody who spoke English to then say to him to stop falling asleep. So then we
You're
got
gonna
to the
translate.
gigs. It was a mad enough journey getting there.
Uh.
Then we got to the gig, and the ladies' toilets was on the stage. What? No, not the actual physical toilet. Like
Yeah,
there was a
yeah.
door and everything, but they'd have to come up onto the stage and go, sorry, in the middle of the show. And then they'd go in and you'd hear chain flushing, and then they'd come out, sorry, and just walk in front of us to get back down
Wow.
again. So I've had some strange places like that.
I love how you had to wake him up, but not so much that he'd be so scared that he'd drive off the bridge.
Yeah.
So like air horns and
I know,
Yeah.
and we're all just sitting there
There's
just
a
like
bit-
whispering to each other going, but whatever we say is just going to be white noise.
You are, yeah. So yeah.
Doors open at 7:30.
Yeah, so grab a drink. We'll see you in 10 minutes. Is that cool? Nice one.
Cheers.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. That is people coming to the show. We're recording this in the club. There were actually some Chinese people looking for the toilet there.
Yeah.
The ladies' toilet is now.
They saw a
We're
stage.
blocking it. We're blocking it.
They saw the comedy stage. They're
Yeah.
like, is that a toilet? We're like, no.
That's some sleepy looking driver behind him. Yeah.
So there's been, I've had some insane. There was one once we did Azerbaijan, and it was the first Azerbaijani Grand Prix. So they were closing off all the roads, but nobody really knew, hadn't been pre-announced. So they're just closing these roads. We were in a London cab, which they have over there, and we just kept getting further pushed out. And we were going to the driver. We were going, we've got to get back to this hotel by this time. So then there's like Azerbaijan is just one big hill, and then beautiful city underneath. So we had to drive over this mountain just to get to where we were, but there's no roads. But loads of people had the same idea, so they were coming the other way. So I was just travelling backwards in a taxi, looking at Frosty and Andy Smart, and they would just go, "Oh Jesus!" I was going, "What the fuck is going on?" And then an entire wedding party was going that way. We're all waving at each other and beeping horns. And so so many times you arrive at a gig, and the gig is the least of your worries. You've just nearly died getting there.
Yeah.
So the gig is kind of going, grand.
And then if it's just going through the Formula One cars. It's like a
Yeah.
London taxi in Azerbaijan, just like all around. Yeah.
But we did have we went on a cruise once. We did transatlantic cruise where there was a hurricane in front of us and behind us.
Oh, good Lord.
So we had to travel at a certain speed, but it meant that for 2 days the ship was just like that. And that was the best fun ever.
You loved it.
Oh, it was fucking hilarious.
So no seasickness.
We were doing shows on stage, and we'd hit like a thing. We'd all be thrown over to the side and keep going with the scene, and then you got to climb up the stage and keep doing it. You go to bed going, I could drown tonight. This could be it. Fucking
Man,
missed.
and what were the suggestions like? Titanic or like what?
There was a couple of trying to incorporate the weather situation, but for the most part, I think people wanted to forget about it.
Yeah. Probably the
Dildo.
drunker.
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
it was
Yeah, do it
Titanic.
Donald Trump. The drunker you got, probably the less rocky it felt, maybe.
You're in perfect sync.
Yeah.
There is a moment when you've had enough cocktails where you're just going, well, we're not rocking anymore. And then you look out the window and it's sea, sky, sea, and you go, oh shit, I'm
Jeez.
pissed.
Oh, it's just a couple of hurricanes. No worries.
Yeah. That's my first. I don't
The
think I've
show
ever done
must
it.
go on though.
Yeah.
Were they like, oh, we're not going to do a show tonight? And you're like, we're fucking improvising.
Oh, but then later on, because we can.
We're going on the stage anyway.
This is what we do.
Yeah.
We're set up some Wi-Fi. We'll do it over Zoom if we have to.
Yeah.
But we were just taking the piss, we're just getting up there and having a laugh. But then when you watch the serious entertainers, like this woman was doing an Annie Lennox tribute show.
Must
So
be
to watch
talking
her
to an
go,
angel.
sweet dreams are made of these. And then it's just brilliant. We were crying laughing. And we go out drinking with her afterwards going, like, that was really good. Oh, nearly fell over. She's wearing like 6-inch heels and
Bloody hell.
still doing the show. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Love that. I did the Oasis of the Seas, I think it was. And they had Cats, the musical, on the stage.
Yeah.
It was cancelled because it was rocky. Not like Hurricane Rocky, just a bit rocky. And I'm just thinking, they're cats.
Who the fuck?
They land on their feet. Do you know what I mean?
But they don't
you
like water.
You don't cancel cats. That's true. Maybe it's because the water thing.
Yeah.
I didn't like.
But you had to continue anyway. You couldn't be like, hey, it's Rocky.
Oh,
I'm not doing jokes.
I'm not standing there
Yeah.
in one spot.
Yeah.
Did
Like
Rocky
much
the
like
musical.
cats, I also can't perform. if it's
Me and
Rocky.
the cat's like just drinking sauces of milk stage. I can't wait till the storm finishes.
But one of the cruises I was on, I've only ever done 3, I think, at this stage. One of them, I was talking to one of the crew members, and they were just saying that if ever there's a rush on ice cream, that someone's died.
Oh,
'Cause
yes.
they need the freezer space.
Oh wow.
That's how dark.
Was it? Yeah. Who was
it's
Jason? Was it Jason Cook?
Jason Cook. Yeah, I was
Was
on the
that the
same
one?
cruise with Jason.
No way.
Yeah,
Did he die on the cruise?
No,
No.
he does routine about it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Doing
me.
that, yeah, because apparently an ice cream day. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
heard
Sean
that.
Collins, Andy Askins, myself, and Jason did a
Right.
cruise once, and it was a comedy store cruise, but they hadn't told the audience that,
No.
and they hadn't told us the audience is going to be ancient. So we went up there doing our usual, "Oh, hey," I said fuck, and they nearly died. And yeah, and some of them did, obviously, because there was a rush on ice cream the following day. But it's
Did you
tragic.
possibly contribute to this death? Did someone have a heart attack?
I
You said
don't
the
know.
F
Was it
word and they
maybe.
freaked out in a heart attack.
Yeah.
And then they had to clear the freezer because the morgue was full.
Yeah.
So that's what happens when they give out more free ice
But
cream.
he did a lovely
Ian was like,
description.
I want more ice cream. He's
Yeah.
just going up to old people screaming at them.
Jason had a lovely description of it. Yeah. How do you get more ice cream around here?
Well, I don't know.
Just run
You-
through soaking wet.
You
Oh, we're going down.
Just like walking, and then a boo, and there's all these heart attacks.
Have a raspberry ripple, please.
The audience is like a guess who, click, 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 they're falling over. And there's ice cream. Can I get a flake?
Yeah. Everyone who dies is so, or everyone who survives is so obese, they're going to die next because they've just eaten so much ice cream.
Still alive, got diabetes, but we made it.
Yeah. Eventually, just one bloke there. One of those little wooden spoons.
Yeah, eating all the ice cream. All my mates are gone in the freezer. Oh, mate, just eating them some room.
But Jason
mate,
had a
it's so
lovely
funny.
description of that particular. He says it's like a floating Aldi. But yeah.
I've got some Azerbaijan jokes.
Who likes dictators?
Yeah.
So you have a much better knowledge of Irish comedy history. And did it really start in Ireland in the 80s then? Is that when it really, like, what was it before that in Ireland? Was there
I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, like Dave Allen is Irish.
Oh, yeah.
He was very big in the UK in his day. Still one of the best comedians Ireland's ever produced. But the actual honest answer is I don't know. It'd be very interesting to find out because, you know, there's got to be funny cave paintings. Oh, he's done it again, three-legged yak. You know, so there's got to be somebody.
The first comedian.
Yeah. Here's Ugg again.
Yeah, jokes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, people are coming into the show. Hey, welcome.
Hello.
Yeah, grab a drink. We'll open in about 10 minutes. If that's cool, nice. Thanks so much.
Yeah, see you in a
We're
minute.
just having a fireside chat.
Yeah. Okay, that's our sign to go. People are now coming into the club.
Yeah.
We
Cool.
better. But Ian, it's been lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been great.
Yeah.
'Cause we
Been
hang out a
lovely.
lot, but like, sometimes we just don't do the in-depth chat. So this has been great, man.
Yeah, if ever you need to know anything more about Irish comedy.
Oh, yeah. Actually, so you were doing the Cellar every week. Was it largely the same group of people doing it every week?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have been doing it every week, in fairness. It would have been
Okay.
kind of a stable of Mr. Trellis, who was Barry Murphy, Ardal O'Hanlon, and Kevin Gildee,
Right.
Dermot Carmody andAlex Lyons. They were this stable of it. They started up and they would pretty much do it week in, week out.
They
This
had
is-
basically had to write new things every week or all the time.
No, they would go up and do a lot of sketches would be the same, then they would improvise, and then they would have new material. But they all did individual stand-up, and Ardal would do characters.
Right.
Kevin would do characters. He'd go up with a plate of Pope John Paul II, sellotape to his face, and do, I am the Pope. And he'd do like a 7-minute routine about being the Pope. Then Ardal would go up with the community man, so he'd loads of keys, so that was a character. So there was character comedy and stand-up sketches. So they'd intermingle, whether
Okay.
they'd do that. And then you had the Quack Squad, who was Joe Rooney and Paul Tylack.
Quack Squad. That's
The Quack
cool.
Squad, but they'd come along, yeah, and then they'd do individual stands. Joe, ironically, was a priest. So he
Not because he's a pervert. That's not the irony.
Oh, yeah,
there.
'cause
no,
he's- because he
because
plays-
Father Damo.
Yeah, he plays Father Damo and Father Ted. Everybody.
That's the reason there.
Yeah.
You know,
And,
one of his-
Flatheads. That was the name of their show. Sorry, Flatheads.
Oh, nice.
They did a little sitcom on RTE, and then
Wow.
there was people like that, and then me and Paddy would be Fat Man's Picnic Basket. So we'd be a couple of guests on, like Pom Boyd used to do stand up. Pom was absolutely hilarious. She used to do 2 characters, Windy Lady and John the Poet. And then there was Mark Staunton, Brendan Dempsey. So that was kind
Wow.
of the era that I came into. Then Eddie Bannon started doing them, Dylan Moran and Paddy Courtney and John Henderson and various other people started coming along.
Wow.
And then the improv started. Sue Collins and
You can see them all this weekend at the Craic 10 Comedy Club.
Yeah.
Okay, well, people are coming in. This has been amazing. Thank
Yeah.
you, Ian.
Yeah, you should definitely write a book if you haven't started already.
Yeah, you should.
I got to
Or
read
just-
one first.
Or just dictate. Just dictate to
Mm.
yourself. Get your
Go to
phone to
Azerbaijan,
record it.
Dictate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not dictatorship, Eddie. Leave it out.
Yeah, let it go.
Cool.
Just fly to the furthest place in the world. Just do it there.
Yeah. So thank you, Ian Coppinger.
Thank you, Ian
Thank you very
Coppinger.
much.